Forgotten Legends. The Grand Archivist of the Zylaxian Confederation, Thelox Ver, adjusted his 8 visual appendages as he addressed the gathering of young scholars. His exoskeleton clicked softly against the metallic floor of the Great Archive, the repository of all galactic knowledge spanning 20,000 cycles. And so, he concluded with a flourish of his primary limbs. That concludes today's lesson on extinct civilizations of the Orion Spur. Remember your assignments on the theoretical psychology of the mythical humans. A small Nebulan student raised a translucent appendage. Archivist Ver, my elder parent says humans weren't myths. They say humans were real, and that the Confederation destroyed them. Laughter rippled through the chamber, crystalline and multi-toned. Various species expressed amusement in their unique ways. Thelox allowed himself a patient smile that stretched across his faceplates. Young one, humans are indeed fascinating subjects for cultural analysis. The legend appears independently in 7 distinct galactic regions, always with similar descriptions, bipedal mammals with remarkable adaptability and concerning aggression. But extensive archaeological surveys have found no conclusive evidence of their existence. They're simply allegories, cautionary tales about the dangers of unchecked expansion and violence. The class dismissed, but Thelox remained troubled by the question. Later that evening, he accessed his private terminal, entering the restricted historical archives, where only those with Omega-level clearance could venture. The files on humanity were surprisingly extensive for a mythological species. His research was interrupted by an urgent communique from science vessel Thandros at the edge of the Dead Zone, a region of space avoided by all sensible species due to peculiar radiation patterns and navigational anomalies. Archivist Ver, the ship's commander, Zalara Nexibid, appeared in the holographic projection. Her skin shimmered with stress-indicating bioluminescence. We've discovered something impossible. Calm yourself, Commander. What have you found? A structure. Artificial. Deep within the Dead Zone. It bears markings consistent with the theoretical human language English. Thelox felt his hemolymph run cold. Impossible. The Dead Zone has been surveyed countless times. Not its core. The gravitational distortions always made it inaccessible, but we've developed new shielding technology. Archivist, this facility appears to be a monitoring station. It's been observing Confederation space for centuries. Preserve everything. Touch nothing. I'll arrange an expedition immediately. 3 cycles later, Thelox stood inside the station, surrounded by technology unlike anything in Confederation archives. The design philosophy was brutally efficient. No decorative elements, no concessions to aesthetic preferences. Everything served a purpose. Most disturbing were the displays showing detailed information about Confederation worlds, defense systems, and population centers. They've been watching us, whispered Zalara. All this time. If humans were real, Thelox said carefully, and if they built this, then. A low, resonant alarm suddenly echoed through the station. Displays flickered, and a countdown appeared in alien numerals. We've triggered something, Zalara said, panic evident in her voice. We need to evacuate now. The science team barely escaped before the station imploded, collapsing into itself without a trace. But the signal had already been sent, a simple pulse broadcasting across the Dead Zone. 3 standard months passed. The Confederation Council dismissed Thelox's findings as inconclusive. The Dead Zone remained silent. Life continued as normal across the 1,000 worlds of the Zylaxian Confederation. Until it didn't. On an ordinary day in the capital world of Zylax Prime, the planetary defense grid registered an anomaly. A small tear in spacetime, precisely calculated to bypass early warning systems. From this tear emerged a single vessel of unfamiliar design, sleek, dark, with minimal profile and no visible propulsion system. Admiral Fizek of the Confederation Defense Force observed the intruder from the command center as it easily evaded interceptors. "Hail them again," he ordered, mandibles clicking with tension. No response. Admiral, they're broadcasting no identification signals. The vessel positioned itself in geosynchronous orbit above the capital city and simply remained there, silent and motionless. After 12 hours of increasing panic, a narrow beam transmission was detected, directed specifically at the Grand Archive. Thelox received the message in his private quarters. It contained only 3 words in ancient human English, a language he recognized from his forbidden research. We remember everything. The next morning, 50 similar vessels appeared in orbit around each of the Confederation's core worlds, still silent, still watching. The Confederation Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from all major species gathered in the Great Chamber, their voices rising in panic and accusations. "The humans are supposed to be extinct," shouted Councillor Draz of the Volith Imperium. "The cleansing protocol was executed 900 cycles ago. There were no survivors." Clearly there were. Thelox addressed the assembly, his voice cutting through the chaos. "And they've been hiding, watching, planning." High Chancellor Xereba raised her primary limbs for silence. If these are truly humans, what do they want? Revenge. Territory. The chamber doors slid open unexpectedly. Standing in the entryway was a figure unlike any species in the Confederation. Bipedal, clothed in a form-fitting dark suit that seemed to absorb light. Its face was obscured behind a reflective helmet that showed only distorted reflections of those who looked upon it. Guards moved to intercept, but found themselves unable to approach. Some invisible force held them at bay. The figure walked calmly to the center of the chamber as voices fell silent. "I am Commander Ilara Chen of the Earth Reclamation Fleet." The figure spoke, its voice modulated yet distinctly feminine. "I represent what remains of humanity." She removed her helmet, revealing a face that matched ancient descriptions: smooth skin, forward-facing eyes, bilateral symmetry, and a covering of fibrous material on the top of the head. Many counselors recoiled instinctively. 900 cycles ago, your Confederation launched what you called the Cleansing Protocol against Earth and her colonies. You believed we were too dangerous to exist alongside your civilizations. You declared us extinct. The human smiled, an expression that didn't reach her eyes. You were mistaken. Screens throughout the chamber activated, showing images of a massive fleet holding position just outside the Confederation's detection range. Ships of various designs, some larger than anything the Confederation had ever constructed. Survivors fled beyond the dead zone, a region we created through gravitational manipulation to discourage pursuit. We rebuilt. We remembered. We prepared. What do you want? High Chancellor Xereba asked, her voice barely steady. Commander Chen's expression remained neutral. First, acknowledgement. Your histories will be corrected. Humanity existed. Humanity exists. Second, reparations, to be determined. Third, she paused, looking directly at each council member. The truth. Who ordered the cleansing protocol, and why? Ancient counselors looked away. Younger ones appeared confused. Thelox stepped forward. Our archives contain little information about the reasoning. The decision predates most of our lives. Then we will help you remember, Chen said. Your central archive contains sealed records, accessible only to your founding species' highest authorities. Those records will be opened. Impossible, shouted an elder Volith representative. Those archives are sacrosanct. Chen tilted her head slightly. They contain the truth about us. About you. About why you feared us enough to commit genocide. We're not asking permission. As if on cue, the building trembled slightly. Screens showed human vessels deploying smaller craft toward the Grand Archive. You have 6 hours to evacuate all personnel from the archive complex. We will extract the information we need, with or without your cooperation. When we have what we came for, we will present our full terms. She replaced her helmet and turned to leave. Wait, called Thelox. Are you here for revenge? For war? The human paused. If we wanted war, Archivist, you wouldn't be alive to ask that question. As she left, the chamber erupted in panicked discussion, but Thelox stood silent, understanding now why the ancient records described humans with such fear and fascination. Their return wasn't just a historical curiosity. It was potentially an extinction-level event for the Confederation itself. Within hours, human extraction teams had entered the Grand Archive's most secure vaults. What they found there would change everything. The reckoning dawned. 3 days after the humans breached the Grand Archive, the Confederation Council reconvened in an atmosphere of dread. Commander Chen stood before them again, this time accompanied by 2 additional humans with distinct physical variations, one with darker skin and one significantly taller than the others. "We have accessed your sealed records," Chen stated without preamble. "Now we understand everything." The tallest human activated a holographic display showing ancient footage. Confederation ships bombarding a blue-green planet, methodically destroying cities while leaving natural resources intact. "The cleansing protocol wasn't about fear," Chen continued. "It was about greed." High Chancellor Xereba's exoskeleton paled. "Whatever you found must be misinterpreted. Our species would never—" "Silence," interrupted the dark-skinned human, his deep voice resonating through the chamber. "I am Admiral Marcus Washington. 900 of your cycles ago, I watched your forces destroy my homeworld. I was 15 years old." Murmurs of disbelief spread through the assembly. Such longevity seemed impossible. "We've mastered cellular regeneration," Washington explained, noticing their confusion. "Some of us chose extended lifespans to ensure humanity never forgot. I am a living witness to your crimes." Chen gestured, and the holographic display changed to show technical schematics. Earth was targeted because human researchers had discovered something your leadership couldn't allow: efficient zero-point energy extraction. Technology that would have made energy virtually free throughout the galaxy. Thelox stepped forward. "That's impossible. Such technology would violate fundamental physical laws. Our scientists have proven." "Your scientists were deliberately misinformed," said the third human, an older female with silver hair. "I am Dr. Sophia Patel, Chief Scientist of the Earth Reclamation Fleet. Your Confederation is built on energy scarcity, your economy, your power structures, your control of member species. Humanity was developing technology that would have disrupted everything." She manipulated the display to show complex equations. Several scientific counselors gasped as they processed the implications. "The founding species of your Confederation, the Volith, the Xylaxians, and the Thraxi, discovered our research through infiltration. Rather than allow this technology to spread, they orchestrated our destruction and then classified all records of our existence." Elder Counselor Draz of the Volith slammed his appendage on the table. "These are lies. Even if such technology existed, no civilization would commit genocide to suppress it." Admiral Washington laughed bitterly. "You should study human history, Counselor. We've nearly destroyed ourselves for far less. The difference is that we learned from our mistakes." Commander Chen raised her hand, and the displays vanished. "Your Confederation presented itself as a benevolent union of species while building an empire on controlled scarcity and suppressed innovation. For 900 cycles, your founding species have manipulated technological development to maintain their dominance." Thelox felt his world crumbling around him. "Is this why you've returned? For justice? Revenge?" "We've returned because isolation has become untenable," Chen answered. "The galaxy faces threats greater than petty power politics. While hiding, we've discovered things your Confederation has been too blind to see." New holographic images appeared. Massive structures at the edges of the galaxy, incomprehensible in scale. Artificial constructs of non-human, non-Confederation origin, Dr. Patel explained. "They're ancient, they're awakening, and they're not friendly. We've had 3 direct encounters in the past decade. We barely survived each one." The council chamber fell completely silent. Humanity could have returned with overwhelming force centuries ago, Admiral Washington said solemnly, "We chose not to. Genocide isn't our way, despite what your histories claim about us. We've been watching, waiting for the right moment to reestablish contact." Chen stepped closer to the council table. "We don't want war. We want partnership, but on new terms. The old confederation must end. A new galactic alliance must form, with full technological sharing and equal representation." High Chancellor Sareba's voice trembled. "You had overthrown 900 cycles of stability for what? An uncertain alliance against a theoretical threat. The threat is real," Chen said firmly, "and your stability is built on lies, exploitation, and the blood of billions of humans." She nodded to Dr. Patel, who activated a small device. Throughout the council chamber and across the capital city, energy systems suddenly pulsed with incredible efficiency. Power readings doubled, then tripled, without additional input. "A small demonstration of zero-point technology," Patel explained. "We could have used it as a weapon. Instead, we offer it as a gift." "In 48 hours, Chen continued, "we will broadcast everything we've learned to every world in the Confederation. The truth about the cleansing protocol, the suppression of technology, and the external threat. Your citizens will know everything." The council erupted in protests. "You can't. It will cause panic, revolutions. The economic systems will collapse." Admiral Washington's voice cut through the chaos. "Then build better systems. That's what humans do. We adapt, we overcome, we rebuild. It's why we survived your genocide." Thelox approached the humans directly, ignoring protocols. "If what you say is true, then most of us are victims of this deception as well. Most species joined the Confederation long after your disappearance. We built our civilization on foundations we believed were solid." Chen's expression softened slightly. "We know, Archivist. That's why we're offering partnership instead of retribution." The oldest Volith counselor suddenly rose, his ancient frame trembling not with fear, but with rage. "You understand nothing. The technology was never the true threat. It was humanity itself. Your species adapts too quickly, fights too fiercely, bonds too strongly with allies. Given time, humans would dominate any coalition they joined. We saw the patterns, the projections. The cleansing was regrettable but necessary for galactic stability." Admiral Washington stepped toward the elder Volith, towering over him. "And yet here we stand, having survived your best attempt to eradicate us, having rebuilt in secret, having advanced beyond your understanding, and still choosing peace when war would be simpler." High Chancellor Xarava signaled for order. "Commander Chen, what exactly are your terms?" "Complete historical transparency, technology sharing under mutual oversight, a new council with representation proportional to population, not economic power, joint preparation against the external threat." Chen paused. "And a public acknowledgement of and apology for the attempted genocide of humanity." The chamber fell silent again as the magnitude of these demands sank in. "And if we refuse?" asked a Thraxi representative. Chen's expression remained neutral. "Then we reveal everything anyway and let your populations decide their own futures. We have no desire to rule or control, concepts your leadership seems unable to comprehend." Thelox studied these humans carefully. Their technology, their confidence, their restraint, all suggested a species that had indeed transcended many of the limitations that defined Confederation thinking. "I move that we accept these terms provisionally," he said suddenly, surprising even himself. "As archivist, I have always sought truth. If our foundations are built on lies, then they must be rebuilt." His declaration sparked fierce debate, but momentum gradually shifted. By dawn, a preliminary agreement had been reached, the beginning of a new galactic order. 3 months later, Thelox stood aboard the human flagship Genesis, watching through a viewport as representatives from 200 Confederation worlds arrived for the first assembly of the new galactic cooperative. The transition had not been smooth. Several worlds had experienced revolutions, others had seceded entirely. but the foundation of something better was taking shape. "Still processing it all?" asked Commander Chen, now Ambassador Chen, as she joined him at the viewport. "Every day," Philox admitted. "To learn that one's entire understanding of history was fabricated, it changes everything." "History is always written by the victors," Chen observed, "until the defeated refuse to stay defeated." Philox turned to face her. "The external threat. How much time do we have?" "Not enough. Never enough. But more together than apart." As they watched the procession of ships approach the massive space station that would house the new government, Philox reflected on how quickly everything had changed. Humans had gone from myth to reality to partners in mere months. The galaxy had been upended not by the warships that heralded humanity's return, but by the truths they carried. In the coming years, there would be countless challenges as ancient powers relinquished control and new alliances formed. But for the first time in 900 cycles, the future would be built on truth rather than convenience, on cooperation rather than control. Humanity had returned not as conquerors, but as catalysts. And the galaxy would never be the same.